Hello, welcome to Culture TV and to our online program, Let's Speak Russian. This is lesson 7. So there are more strangers to come in this video, but this will be the penultimate lesson on the alphabet, so we're nearly there. I guess something to look forward to next time. To start the lesson though, let's do something a little different. I'd like to show you a Russian proverb, or saying if you like. First of all, you're practicing your reading and pronunciation. But also I think it's just interesting to know them. You can get an insight into a country's culture through proverbs, and then in the future, at later stages, it'll be very nice if you include proverbs in your speech as well. For now though, pause the video and have a go at reading this phrase aloud. Okay, great. It's когда рак на горе свистнет. Когда рак на горе свистнет. All right? So there's a silent "the" there in the last word, свистнет. Don't worry about this for now, we'll look at this more later. But word by word, когда is when, рак is a crab, на горе means on a mountain, and then свистнет means whistles. So basically when the crab whistles on the mountain. What on earth does this mean? So I guess you don't find crabs on mountains. Generally you find them in aquatic environments. And then I don't think crabs know how to whistle either. So in other words, this phrase in Russian means never. This is not that common of a proverb nowadays, at least, but it still does exist. And some people do use it to mean never. So if someone is asking someone, when are you going to do this for me? You can say, когда рак на горе свистнет. In other words, no, never. That's never happening. All right, hopefully you found that interesting. Now let's move on to the alphabet. So there are 4 strangers that we need to get acquainted with today, and here they are. Here's the first letter. In Russian, you pronounce it tse. Tse. Okay, which makes the ts sound. So we do actually have this in English. I'll remind you of words that end in t, and then in the plural there'll be ts, ts, like, I don't know, cats, right? One cat, many cats. That's the sound that we're looking for, okay? So here's the first word, цена. Цена. Okay, which means price, цена. Here's the next word, центр. Центр. The center, центр. Now I'll let you pronounce this word. This is a little harder. Цвет. Цвет. Okay, those 3 consonants at the start. Цв is not that familiar to us, but you know, цвет. Just keep practicing. And this means color. And finally we have цех. Цех. And this means something like a department in a factory, a particular section of a factory that produces or is involved in a particular part of the production line, I think. Цех. Okay, so it's literally just T and S combined together into one sound. Ts. So here's the next letter. This is similar to the sh that we saw last time. The sound that it makes, though, is a bit different. Listen carefully. It's sh. Sh. And the name of the letter is she. She. All right? Now, this is a bit of an odd letter. There are a few particular rules that surround its pronunciation. I'll explain them to you as we go along. So let's listen to the first word. Щука. Щука. Once again, щука. This is a pike, the fish. Щука. The next word is щека, щека, which is a cheek, щека. And in fact, I'll pronounce all the words for you. You, of course, repeat after me, and then we'll talk about the rules. Прищепка, прищепка, which is a peg that you use to peg on clothes to a washing line. Прищепка. And finally, you might know this word, товарищ. Товарищ. Comrade. Товарищ. All right? So let me ask you, what have you noticed about this letter? What makes it different to the sh that we saw last time? What do you think? So to answer the question, I think it's worth comparing the sounds of sh, the letter that we saw in the previous video, the English sh, and then this letter sh. So let's have a look at 3 syllables. Firstly, we have sh, sh, right? Now, if we have the English sh in words like share, so just imagine this being the first syllable of a word like shell, share. And now for this letter, share, share. So listen again, share, 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 share. Again, this is quite subtle, and I'm not expecting you to get this perfect, but let me tell you about this difference. So with the sh sound, this letter that we're looking at now, you're lifting your tongue to the top of your mouth, and your tongue still touches your teeth, but the gap between your upper and lower teeth creates this sort of slit, if you like, through which you're blowing air. So with this letter, there is this element of air being blown through a small gap between your teeth. It's very similar, you know, to when you have like a small gap or slit in the walls somewhere through which the wind blows, and you hear the wind blowing through and making like a characteristic sound. That's sort of what we're aiming for with this letter. With sh, you're not doing that. With sh, it's quite a, as I said last time, quite a harsh, firm sound. Whilst with sh, it's like when you're hushing someone in English, when you're telling someone to be quiet. Shh, shh, kind of like that, okay? Let's take a look at these words again and see what would happen if we substituted the sh with either sh or the English sh. So with shuka, the correct pronunciation, if we were to change the sh to sh, we would get shuka. So shuka versus shuka. With shika, it would be sheka with sh. With прищепка, it would be прищепка. And then with товарищ, it would be товарищ, товарищ, which is not what we want, it's товарищ, sh, okay? I think that's enough. I really don't need to dwell on more about this. Of course, you don't need to get it exactly right straight away. Don't worry about it. It is quite hard, I do understand. I just want to highlight to you that these are 2 different separate letters. They are distinct from each other. They have slightly different sounds, okay? All right, and now let's move on to the next letter. This is a bit easier. This is the Russian letter U. U. Okay, so basically a Y and a U sound put together. U. So here's the first word. Yupka. Yupka, which is a skirt. Yupka. And then we have jurist. Jurist, which means a lawyer. This is the cognate of the word jury, which you also find in court. Jurist. Now you have a go at this word. Brilliant. Yula. Yula. which is a spinning top. It's one of those toys, quite old-fashioned now, that you sort of press on and it starts spinning on the table. And finally we have jubilei, jubilei, which means an anniversary, clearly coming from the word jubilee, jubilei. Okay, hopefully no problems there. Now let's move on to the last letter. This is the Russian ya, ya. So again, it's the same idea. We have the letter Y, and this time it's an A, ya, all in one letter, ya. So here's the first word, яблоко, 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 which is an apple. An apple tree would be яблоня, яблоня, яблоня. Okay, and as you may hear, we're doing the same thing as with yeah and your, and it also applies to your. So basically any Russian letter that starts with this ya sound, we're doing the same thing with softening the consonant that comes before. Okay, so яблоня. All right. Now you have a go at this word. Excellent. Ясно, ясно, which means clear, ясно. And finally, we have this word. I'll let you pronounce it first as well. Okay, very good. Ярмарка, ярмарка, which is a fair. Ярмарка. Quite common in Russia, actually, particularly in smaller towns. Ярмарка. Okay, so there we go. 4 more strangers under our belt now, and we're almost done with the alphabet. Just 3 letters to go now, and they are very strange indeed. We don't have them in English. They are a bit tricky, so do prepare for a slightly more difficult lesson next time, but then it's the last one on the alphabet as well, so think of it that way. So I'll see you then. No homework. We'll just get straight into it next time. If you have any questions or queries, then do let us know. Thank you very much for your attention. See you next time. Goodbye.